Welcome to study session 3, Measurement and Collection of Data. Introduction. The data collection stage is an interesting aspect of research. However, it is also a critical stage of the research study as the researcher is expected to make decisions vital to the outcome of the whole work. The measurement of variables will indicate the data that would be available for analysis. Therefore, this study session will expose you to the concept and levels of measurement. You will also consider the appropriate level of measurement for data in selected studies. We will cap the session with a discussion on reliability and validity. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Demonstrate understanding of the concept of measurement. 2. Describe the 4 levels of measurement. 3. Select appropriate level of measurement for data in selected studies. 4. Enumerate criteria for selection of data collection instruments. 5. Identify types of reliability. 6. Identify types of validity. The concept of measurement. Measurement in research may mean quantification of information, allocation number to data. In qualitative studies, data are collected in narrative forms. For such to relevant as measurement, they will be categorized and assigned numbers. Numbers are the means by which information are compared. One, nominal scale. It is the lowest of the 4 levels of measurement. It is used when data are categorized into mutually exclusive groups, that is, they cannot be compared. The categorization includes all the possible groups, that is, it is exhaustive. The datum will fit into only one of the categories, and the categories are not ordered. The numbers assigned to categories have no quantitative meaning. Examples are gender, marital status, professional levels, and ethnicity. 2. Ordinal scale. In ordinal scale, data can be ordered and can be categorized. The number assigned indicates the order, but not necessarily the exact quantity of the variable. The ranking may show that one is higher or lower than the other, but the interval between the categories may not be equal. The measure is considered ordinal because we cannot claim equal distance exists between the ranks. Interval scale measurement uses interval scale with equal numeric distances between interval characteristics. Mutually exhaustive categories. Ranking order assumed to be a continuum of numbers. It does not have a 0 point on the interval scale, therefore, it is not possible to indicate the absolute amount of the attribute. Ratio scale measurement. This is the highest form of measurement. Meets all the rules of other forms of measurement. Characteristics. Mutually exclusive categories, exhaustive categories, ranking order, equal spacing between intervals. Also has absolute 0 point, meaning at 0 there is absence of the property. Examples are age, height, weight, work experience. Considerations in use of measurement scales. The 4 types of scales are in hierarchy. Nominal is lowest and ratio is highest. Researchers usually strive to use the highest scale possible because there are advantages. Plan for data collection. A plan for data collection should be developed so that 1. One will have a clear overview of what tasks have to be carried out, who should perform them, and the duration of these tasks. 2. One can organize both human and material resources for data collection in the most efficient way. And 3. Errors and delays which may result from lack of planning, for example, the population not being available or data force being misplaced, can be minimized. 4. It is likely that while developing a plan for data collection, one can identify problems such as limited manpower, which will require modification of the proposal. Such modifications might include adjustment of the sample size or extension of the period for data collection. Stages in the data collection processes. 3 main stages can be distinguished, which includes stage 1, permission to proceed; stage 2, data collection; stage 3, data handling. Stage 1, permission to proceed. Consent must be obtained from the relevant authorities, individuals, and the community in which the project is to be carried out. Stage 2, data collection. When collecting data, the following has to be considered. 1. Logistics, that is, who will collect what, when, and with what resources. 2. Quality control. Logistics of data collection. Who will collect what data? When allocating tasks for data collection, it is recommended that you first list them. Then you may identify who could best implement each of the tasks. Take 2. Then you may identify who could best implement each of the tasks. How long will it take to collect the data for each component of the study? Step 1. Consider 1. The time required to reach the study areas. 2. The time required to locate the study unit, that is, persons, groups, or records. 3. The number of visits required per study unit. For some studies, it may be necessary to visit the informant a number of times. For example, the information needed is sensitive and can only be collected from informants are comfortable with the investigator, or if observations have to be made more than once. For example, follow-up of pregnant mothers or malnourished children. Time needed for follow-up of non-respondents should also be considered. Step 2. Calculate the number of interviews that can be carried out per person per day. Step 3. Calculate the number of days needed to carry out the interviews. For example, you need to do 200 interviews. 1. Your research team of 5 people can do 5 times 4 is equals to 20 interviews per day. You will need 200 ratio 20 is equals to 10 days for the interviews. Step 4. Calculate the time needed for the other part of the study, for example, 10 days. Step 5. Step 5. Step 5. Determine how much time you can devote to the study. Note, it is always advisable to slightly overestimate the period needed for data collection to allow for unforeseen delays. When should the data be collected? The type of data to be collected and the demands for the project will determine the actual time needed for the data to be collected. Consideration should be given to 1. Availability of research team members and research assistants. 2. The appropriate seasons to conduct the field work. If the problem is season related or if the data collection would be difficult during certain periods. 3. Accessibility and availability of the sampled population. And 4. Public holidays and vacation periods. Ensuring quality. It is extremely important that the data collected are of good quality and is reliable and valid. Measures to help ensure good quality of data. 1. Prepare a fieldwork manual for the research team as a whole, including guidelines on sampling procedures and what to do if respondents are not available or refuse to cooperate. A clear explanation of the purpose and procedures of the study which should be used to introduce each interview, and instruction sheets on how to ask certain questions and how to record the answers. A clear explanation of the purpose and procedures of the study which should be used to introduce each interviewer, and instruction sheets on how to ask certain questions and how to record the answers. Select your research assistant if required with care. Choose assistants that are 1. From the same educational level. 2. Knowledgeable concerning the topic and local condition. 3. Not the object of study themselves. And 4. Not biased concerning the topic. Train research assistants carefully in all topics covered in the field. In the field work, take 2. Train research assistants carefully in all topics covered in the fieldwork manual as well as the interview techniques, and make sure that all members of the research team masters the interview techniques, such as 1. Asking questions in a neutral manner. 2. Not showing by word or expression what answer one expects. 3. Not showing agreement or disagreement or surprise. And 4. Recording the answers precisely as they are provided. Ensure that the research assistants are not placed under too much stress. Arrange for ongoing supervision of research assistants. Devise methods to assure the quality of data collected by all members of the research team. For example, quality can be assured by 1. Requiring interviews to check whether the questionnaire is filled completely before finishing each interview. Asking the supervisor to check at the end of each day during the data collection period whether the questionnaires are filled incompletely and whether the recorded information makes sense. And 3. Having the researchers review the data during the data analysis stage to check whether data are complete and are consistent. Stage 3. Data handling. Once the data have been collected and checked for completeness and accuracy, a clear procedure should be developed for handling and storing them. Decide if the questionnaire are to be numbered. Identify and person who will be responsible for storing the data and how they are going to be stored. Criteria for selection of a data collection instrument. Practicality of the instrument. Reliability of the instrument. Validity of the instrument. Practicality of the instrument. Cost of development. Appropriateness for the study population. Duration of administration. Is there need for training to utilize the instrument? All practical issues regarding the instrument should be considered. Reliability of instrument. Reliability is concerned about how consistently the meaning technique measures of this variable of interest, irrespective of the type of research. For the nature of the instrument, reliability of instrument is very vital. 1. Degree of reliability is determined to be used for correlation. 2. Correlation coefficient is determined between two sets of scores. 3. The higher the correlation coefficient, the more reliable the instrument. 4. Correlation coefficient figure normally ranges from -1.00 and +1.00. The correlation coefficient value of 0.7 and above is considered appropriate for research instruments. The more items an instrument has, the more valuable the instrument may be. Reliability must always be checked when used with different subjects in different environments. Types of reliability. A. Stability reliability. B. Equivalency reliability. C. Internal reliability. Stability reliability. This refers to the consistency of the instrument over time. When questionnaires are administered to the same group of people over time, it is expected that their responses will be the same or similar. It is perfect when the correlation is 1. The space of time may be different, few days to weeks, but not too long to allow change. Hence, use of test method. Equivalence reliability. This is the degree to which different forms of the instrument will obtain the same result. Under the circumstance, can you have two forms of instruments? When two forms of instruments are used, they should contain the same number of items which have level of difficulty. One form of the test is administered to a group of people and later the other of instruments is applied to the same group. The two scores are then compared. The higher the correlation, the more reliable are the instruments. Internal consistency reliability. This is the scale of homogeneity. This type of test is useful when the study is measuring only one concept at a time. The questionnaire may be split into half or odd questions. Responses are compared with even more questions. This is done to ensure that the instrument is consistently measuring same construct. Validity of an instrument. Validity is measuring the ability of the instrument to gather the data it is intended to gather. Content is very vital in validity testing. It is not tested through the use of statistics. 1. It is tested through use of experts. 2. Lecture review. Types of validity: face validity, content validity, criterion validity, and construct validity. Now to the study session summary. In this study session, you learn that measurement is an expression of any medical phenomenon in numbers of categories, and the purpose is to give its size to extent or magnitude, and it provides by basis for comparing. 4 levels of measurement can include nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale had been explained. All the levels of measurement has an implication in selecting the methods of data collection. Researchers must develop and implement a plan for gathering the data. This involves decisions that could affect the quality of the data being collected. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.